Hello, and welcome back to Paranormal NL Podcast, located in Newfoundland and Labrador, Canada. That's PNL Podcast for short. I'm your host and founder, Jen Noseworthy. Thank you for tuning in to UPRN, United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans and 105.3 FM on that Gulf. For tonight's thinning of the veil special on UPRN segment number 57, I've got a special Lightworker guest tonight waiting backstage from California, USA, who I'll bring on shortly. Now it's time to grab your favorite cup of warm brew, a few munchies, get cozy, and get ready for the show tonight. Paranormal NL Podcast is sponsored by the Bog Team. It's a boots-on-the-ground Bog Team doing historical paranormal investigations in Newfoundland, Canada. Follow PNL Podcast and the Bog Team on their Linktree, Paranormal NL Podcast. Smash those subscribe buttons. It all helps. All Bog Team music heard in the intro and exit is available for download on all social media and streaming music platforms. You can tune in every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on UPRN for PNL Podcast with a YouTube and a Facebook live chat watch party. PNL Podcast believes in supporting international paranormal networking and highlighting global paranormal people, places, and things. Now, let's get on with the show. Tonight, I have a special guest who is a very powerful light worker, psychic white witch, metaphysical teacher, energy cleanser, entity cleanser from California, USA. I've got Miss JJRose777. Welcome, JJ.
Hi, Jen.
Welcome back. I know you were previously on season 2, episode 48, when I was just doing radio. And then again in season 2, episode 140. And I think I was doing some StreamYard back then before I was on UPRN. So yeah, welcome back. I said a little bit about you to the folks listening. For now, the folks who've never heard you before and not sure who you are around the world, you want to talk a little bit about yourself?
That's fun. Sure. I am a lot of various different things, so I don't necessarily have one title that works for me. Basically, my credentials are I've been sixth sense sensitive open my entire life. I come from a long lineage of folks who were also spiritually, metaphysically open. Besides all the things that you listed, I'm also an empath, psychic, past, present, future, medium, energy, entity clearing really is my main direction. And that's just a really nice way to basically say I do exorcisms and attachment removals, as well as energy clearing, divination, energy medicine, all this stuff. I do it all. I'm also the psychic specialist for a paranormal investigation team, SCARI, as well as all the other things that you said. My YouTube channel is basically free information for the world. It's not hidden behind a paywall in order to pass on some helpful hints, tips, and information in ways that you can help yourself through a spiritual awakening, or if you're knee deep in this and you've been doing this for years, just a couple helpful hints to make it a little bit easier on yourself and others.
Shout out to Tim Sudano from Paranormal Insight and SCARI. And Tim, of course, he was on the show with myself. Gosh, that was season 3, episode 3. First segment 11 with UPRN. But now we should give a shout out to the Fab-5.
Yes. So the Fab-5 are Kat Ward from Paranormal Heart, Tim Sudano from SCARI or Paranormal Insight. Sorry, SCARI is our paranormal team. Tommy from Let's Get Freaky podcast, and then Erick from the Uncomfortable podcast.
Yeah, and how did you guys get together? Like, how did the Fab-5s come about?
So I met Erick first. Through Erick, I ended up meeting Tommy. Obviously, I've worked with Tim for a lot of years. We did the math the other day. I was astonished. And then ended up meeting Kat from Tommy. So I kind of know everyone, and we just developed, you've been doing this a while. There's certain people you have on and you just click with, and
Yeah. It's
this
the
is
same
my
thing.
gal.
When I had Tommy on, I had him on season 2, episode 7, and I think he was the one that kind of introduced me to the rest of y'all, the Fab 5, because Tommy
Yeah.
was also on season 2, episode 41, season 3, episode 16. But yeah, he introduced me to Kat, my fellow UPRN host over here. And Kat's been on season 2, episode 18, season 3, episode 1. And then I recently just recorded with Erick. Is not out yet, but he's going to come on season 3, episode 51. So yeah, it's really great to meet y'all. And it's so fun getting to know all the different people from around the world.
Well, there's so many special people, and I can't say enough about all of you. Pretty much everyone that I've been on the show, you all are amazing in your own ways, and putting all the time and energy that it takes in order to put out a podcast or even a show, whatever you call it. It's a lot of work.
People don't really see the behind the scenes, do they?
They don't, and most of your content is free, and it's, obviously, right? It's a labor of love. So I just feel a little more respect and appreciation for that is really, really nice when you guys get it back. So know that you have my vote.
Thanks, JJ. You've got mine for sure. Definitely. I was really looking forward to talking with you tonight. I know we talked a little bit off air about some weird stuff that I've had going on and the bog team. So tonight we were going to talk about the thinning of the veil and bubbling up and how important it is. Did you want to start talking about that? And for the people listening who are new to the paranormal, what do you mean by thinning of the veil? Because some of them, might not understand what we're talking about.
Sure. So the veil, if you haven't heard of it by now, get prepared because you're going to. The veil is just that. Think of it as a semi-transparent sheer curtain between our dimension and realm and other dimensions and realms. And unfortunately, what a lot of people don't understand is we coexist with tons of different entities, energies, beings on higher and lower frequencies and dimensions as ourselves. So, yes, I'm sitting here, but I'm surrounded by other things who are also sitting here and live here. Some of them I can see, some of them interact, but not all of them. Some of them, they just live here too. That's their business. They're going along their business. I'm going along mine. And then there are those times, there's twice during the year, it's cyclical, around Halloween time, and then the beginning of May, which is the old May Day that not a lot of people remember the significance of, but we celebrate it and we really don't know why. But it's when the veil thins. And again, think of it, it's cyclical, right? So it ramps up and then it thins out. And every single culture throughout history has some acknowledgement of this thinning of the veil. China does, even cultures you wouldn't necessarily expect, they all do.
100%.
And yeah, and I mean, we're talking, even if they're traditions we don't necessarily understand, if you started asking them a little bit more, well, why do you celebrate this during this time? Isn't that interesting? It's all about honoring the light, or, especially in the Northern Hemisphere right now, we're entering into fall. And when you start talking about, okay, it's getting darker. And so you have all of these different religious ceremonies that are about honoring the light and the light overcoming the darkness. Okay, that's not just on the physical plane of the sun isn't out as much. It's also on the spiritual plane as well. And what's interesting is in the Southern Hemisphere, they're having their veil thinned as well. It's just spring, summer for them. So it's interesting how the entire planet has it, which is why it's twice a year.
JJ, what do you think about the theory that some people have talked about when you talk about thinning of the veil, how our atmosphere, shall we say, is thinning because of the fact of all of these gases and things and climate change. And that's actually thinning. When you talk about the veil, we're talking about the atmosphere is actually thinning, the magnetic sphere. So there's more radiation coming in from the sun, the weather, everything is hotter. Um, could that be affecting a lot of people? Could that be part of the veil that we're talking about?
Indeed. I've been talking about solar flares for a couple years now. Probably people think, what is this girl's obsession with it? But we are also at a time where when we're at solar flare maximum, our magnetosphere has diminished. And this is also cyclical within the planet.
Right, and
Now,
it's also affecting the animals, right? The birds traveling
very
around,
much,
the animals in
yes.
the ocean, like all the magnetic stuff. That's what they use to get
Mhm.
around and communicate. And so it seems like the planet is all messed up.
Well, and you also have to realize within each human body, we also have an electrical system. And if we're getting more solar flares and we're being bombarded with neutrinos from the sun, and all of that is going through us, and we don't have our magnetic protection as large as we used to because ours is tethered with the planets, right?
Right.
So in conjunction, ours is taken down a little bit, the planets is taken down a little bit, things are coming through, and our electrical systems are being messed up. So I'm not sure about you, but some of the physical ailments that I've noticed the past couple of years that I have looked at kind of ebbs and flows with history, tons of people are dehydrated. And this
Yes.
isn't a matter of we're just not drinking our water. I see everyone, I mean, I have nieces and nephews who are young, who are schlepping around these huge water bottles all day long, just guzzling water. But it's not
Our
water itself, it's electrolytes within the water that we need more of during this time. So your sodium, potassium,
yes.
etc.
A lot
And
of
making
people are using a lot of the Gatorade and stuff like that for the extra sodium, potassium. And yeah, and there's actually problems with, we go back to the weather. People in our area are having their wells dry up. The drinking water of the lakes are drying up. They're giving out warnings, hey, go easy on the water. So it's not only just the humans, it's like even the animals are having a hard time trying to find water because that's drying up
yeah,
for them.
yes. And there's a lot about our planet that we're finding out more and more, but science hasn't been so forthright with certain cycles and how exactly they go in preparing people. I feel like a lot of the people who were coming into the forefront in the 80s and 90s of, hey, these things are starting to, we need to prepare. These things are going to start happening. They've happened in history, and no one took them seriously. Everyone thought they were, trying to sell something. And in some
Well, a lot
cases,
of people are saying that the thinning of this veil is allowing other entities to come into our dimension, to
yes,
make
it
it
is.
easier for them to enter our dimension. And people are confused, like, what are these entities? Have they always been there? Why are they coming? Why are they watching? Are they watching because there's a huge cataclysmic event about to happen? Are we going to have a polar shift? Are we going to have something else? It seems like every day you go in the news, there's some kind of weirdness going on. So maybe they're up there with their popcorn watching Earth.
No. Okay. So I
That's a big one for you to talk about.
it's not that it's so big, it's and I've been meaning to do a video on this, and I've been kind of battling with how am I going to do this so that it doesn't come across preachy. And I think I'm just going to have to do it in story form, because the hardest part that I'm finding for people to understand a lot of what's happening spiritually, physically, et cetera, is because we have this cognitive dissonance. We know that we've been lied to, or that history didn't necessarily have certain things right in science. And yet we keep going forward with that bad knowledge, knowing that it's not right. And so it's not computing, and then we're getting a whole bunch of crazy information and then these back and forth questions that I'm like, we could solve these very easily if we would just throw out some of this old info. So when it comes to aliens, I am 100% sure there is life out there because A, space is giant, and also source creator of everything isn't a space waster, right? So it makes perfect sense that there are beings that live in other places. UFOs 100% are real. Unfortunately, what a lot of people don't put together is they've already been here. They've been here longer than we've been here. We also are part of them. And so when you start to understand this, which is why I start with, we coexist with a lot of other beings. We just don't necessarily see them all the time because they're on a different dimension. And when you start to understand that, oh, they're already here, they're existing with us. Not everything's as scary. I mean, house fae, it used to be a thing, if apparently Harry Potter has one in it. My cousin had to give me a whole dissertation on Harry Potter because I was very confused. If you think about it, right, we have fae that live in our homes. This was their home before we even got here. We coexist. Sometimes they might get a little ticked off about what you're doing or if you're invading their space or vice versa. And then there's, an ebb and flow. Most of the time, we're not interacting too much. But then we also have beings that, for whatever reason, they like us. I have a lot that I talk to come around. They'll give me warnings. They'll give me heads up. Yeah, this meme on the screen right now is me trying to translate all my profound spiritual downloads into coherent English words. It's not easy. So we are they're already with us. Now what happens, and I've been talking about this for a couple years, and I have a video on it called Merge Convergent Shift. Okay. So what started happening is at the end of 2022, when the veil normally starts to build back up after Halloween, the veil just never really came back. There were these like shards and shreds, but it didn't fully come back.
And that was in 2022? What do you think caused that?
Well, thankfully, I know some people who are much older than I am that were around, and I asked them, hey, is this cyclical? Like, has this happened in your lifetime? And all of them said, no, this has never happened. This is unprecedented. And so then I really went in with Spirit, and that's when Spirit said, hey, you need to start warning people. Like, the merge has already been happening. And the merge really is the merging of different timelines. A lot of these different timelines start blending in on each other. This is why some, not all, okay, some Mandela effects happen, or what people will call glitches in the matrix will happen. Myself and a friend of mine, we kind of compare notes every day. And we had one day we both woke up and our entire neighborhoods look different. And we walk our neighborhoods daily. And we live, 8 hours from each other at the time. And so we're walking.
So strange, isn't it?
Yeah. And there were little things. They weren't huge things. One was a house that I know was one color. All of a sudden is another color.
Wow.
Another one was the driveway was in a new location. And there's no way you can move an entire driveway and a porch overnight. Maybe you can, but that's a contractor I would love to meet. So if you know them, let me know.
The Mandela effect is no joke. I mean, for the folks listening who don't know what that is, do you want to explain what it is?
Yeah, basically the Mandela effect is you remember something clearly happening one way, and yet you find out that's not it at all. And this isn't a matter of misremembering. This is on a mass collective level. It started with Nelson Mandela, and I'm one of the few. I can tell you exactly where I was sitting when he passed away. And there was a funeral procession that came out. They had him in a wooden box. They came out, people were wearing white. It was covered on CNN at the time. It was a huge ordeal. He had died in jail. And then years later come to find out, no, he didn't die and he was the president, and very confusing. So basically, half of the population or more remember him passing away in jail, like I do. And then like 40 something percent of people remember him becoming president. Those were timelines that merged.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And I've heard people try to explain this out of, oh, well, you're misremembering. You were young at the time. The funeral procession might have looked like the presidential procession.
It's almost like Back to the Future when you go back and do something and then it alters the rip of time, right?
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, are we doing that? Are we going back in time? Did we figure out how? Are we screwing up time? And now is there two parallel universes?
Well, there's way more than that, but that's going to get a little complicated if you want to spend 1 hour on a show on this. The best part about all of this is that it's not all timelines merging. There are companies that deliberately mess with people to get on the Mandela train, right? Because it's such something that's widely talked about with Mandela effects now, and on TikTok you can go viral for having a new one. So if a company wants to go viral very easily with basically no marketing money, all they have to do is switch a logo and then put a post out saying, no, that was never our old logo. But then you'd have to scrub the internet of all the old stuff. But like the Haynes thing with the cornucopia, I clearly know it had a cornucopia. I had to draw a cornucopia many times a year in art class and school and all the stuff. So I know what I was drawing, and I know that it was on the Haynes, and I still have a shirt that shows the cornucopia. So them coming out saying, no, we never had that. Was that a marketing point? I don't know. Probably. Just like the Jif peanut butter or something. One of those. There's been so many that have been disproven. But there are other things. So, I told you about my friend and I waking up. The neighborhoods were slightly different. Just little tiny slight things. I have a very specific scar, and it's a part of my body. I know exactly what happened. It's always there. I look at my face every day. I'm also a makeup artist, so I'm very into skincare and my face, and it's something that I always have had to cover. One day I wake up and it's not there. And I had done no treatment to make it go away. Yes, this is actually, if you're looking at the screen, Merge, Convergence, and Shift is the name of the YouTube video on my channel about a lot of this. And I actually did a PowerPoint this time. I got
nice. Okay.
Most of my videos are just listen only, but this one I actually put words up on the screen, did like a whole thing. So I bring all this up because I've experienced it myself, and those were timelines that were merging and blending.
How long was the scar gone for?
Well, it's interesting. It was gone for about 3 weeks, and then one day it showed back up, and now it comes in and out. I never know if I'm going to wake up and it's there or not.
Have you tried looking in different mirrors?
If it's there one day with the same mirror, why would it be gone the next day?
I don't know. You know how some people don't know about feng shui and they have a mirror facing another mirror? I'm sure you wouldn't do that. But if somebody else in their house had that happen, could that cause it?
No, because it's my face and it's a scar.
Yeah.
I mean, the scar is either there or it's not there. You either have to cover it up with makeup or you don't.
So being that we were talking about parallel stuff, could it be that merging together? Like you said, to merge convergent?
Yeah. And it was interesting because when I had the scar thing happen, my friend all of a sudden had this memory of dying when she was younger. And so she brought it up to her family, who was very clearly there in the memory. And it wasn't so long ago that no one would remember it, but she clearly remembers this. And so she brought it up to her 4 family members that were there, and none of them remembered this. And she also had can't remember if it was a scar or something else, or like a birthmark, but she had something that all of a sudden wasn't there. And then, like me comparing notes, it popped up again.
Have you
And
heard about soul genesis? Could that be part of it?
I have not heard of that. What's that?
Where it's almost like a past life that you've had. You were somebody else.
Well, I mean, yes, but I'm very aware of my past lives, and I know how this scar happened. Like this happened in this life.
Interesting. So weird, right? Like, how do you explain that?
Well, it is, isn't it? And then so this was happening on and off for years. And when it comes to me telling you, hey, I have other people that can corroborate this, this is not just some person who's telling me stuff because they get off on lying to me. This is someone that I know and trust and has absolutely no reason to lie to me. At the time when this was happening, I didn't even have a YouTube channel. So they were just telling a random friend, and we're sending pictures. And these are pictures that like you wouldn't want to put on the public, right? Like these are intimate things where you're like, hey, this doesn't make sense. So I bring this up because I was dealing with this in my personal life before all of this. Then I see the veil doesn't come back, and I'm like, oh, we're coming to the convergence. The convergence is when the veil doesn't come back and the dimensions, so the other dimensions that we coexist with, they start to kind of fade, and we're starting to see in between these various different dimensions. And this is when we started to get a giant uptick in people reporting shadow figures and having these interesting encounters with different entities, things popping up that they've never seen before. I started having stuff that was coming to me. I have no name for it. I've never seen it. There's no category I can put it in. They were coming from lower dimensions, things from higher dimensions. And, I'm trying to navigate this myself, and at least I have a leg up on some people. Shadow figures have never scared me. They're just a peep through of another dimension. It's basically, imagine you have curtains, right, that block you from your neighbor staying in your house. And then one day the sun hits it just right, and you can kind of see through, and your neighbor can kind of see you through the curtain. That's what a shadow figure is. They're not always bad. Most of the time, they're just living their own lives, and you just kind of see each other because it's thin there. I've had them walk through my house. It's no big deal.
Now, you talked about lower level stuff also, but have you seen weird stuff like that?
Oh, yeah. And they're definitely not shadow figures. The lower levels, when they pop through, they're very dense. I had one thing basically, run over me while I was sleeping, woke me up. It's like a giant cockroach type thing. It's not a cockroach, but when I say giant, I mean the size of like a VW bug. It was very weighty. It smelled. Again, my husband was my witness for that one. So we both woke up at what was that and what was that stench, because it went right over me and out through the window. And then they kept showing up to the point where I'm confused. But then I had to make like a little corral outside for them because please stop coming in my house and stinking everything up. And the minute I did that, the scent went away. And
what do you say made a corral outside? How did you do that?
Energetically, I made a place that they could go to, because I started, it's very hard to communicate with something on a lower level. So imagine you trying to have a conversation with an ant.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. You don't speak the same language. What we do is foreign to them. What they do is a little foreign to us, but we kind of understand them. And so energetically, I just had to converse in the best way possible and have them show me where they came from, which was deep inside the earth, hence the smell, and also energetically where they came from and what they needed. So to them, the reason they showed up on my literally lap was they were told, okay, you're being thrust up to this higher dimension, go find the light. Well, I'm a light worker. I'm like a giant beacon. And so they came up and they found me because they needed the light. It was almost like an oxygen mask because they were trying to figure out how to exist on this level and dimension. And it's very
Whenever,
cool.
the bog team, or, we do, shall we say, a seance or something like that, and we asked them, how did you find us the light? Like, we were at a place, they told us that it's usually dark there and there was nobody usually there at night, and we followed the light. Where did you come from? The graveyard. Okay, but makes sense, right?
Yeah.
That's like a lighthouse. If you're out on a ship in the ocean and there's fog and you can't see, what are you gonna do? Follow the light. So you
Yep.
were like a beacon to them.
Yeah. And, once I understood that function, I was okay with it. And I understood at first, I was just very confused. And to be honest with you, as much knowledge as I have and as many years as I've been on this planet doing this stuff, there's still things that confuse me. And
I want to make an important shout out to opening the door or the window, because you know how some people, you smudge, but what if they can't get out? Like, what if you're in the kind of house that the windows can't open, or it's winter and you can't get the doors or windows open? What do you do?
I have a really good workaround for that. You can use the chimney if there is one. If there's not, which I've been in that position once, I make an energetic door for them to leave through.
How do you make an energetic door? Because the folks here in Newfoundland and Labrador, a lot of them, if they have like a fireplace, but it's one of those fake ones, or they can't get the windows in that open during the winter because they're literally froze shut. And the door, if you open it, you probably got about 5 or 6 feet of snow in front of you.
Okay, well, you can energetically create an exit, whether it's on the ceiling. That's usually easiest, especially if the snow is up 5 or 6 feet. I personally do not do snow, so big shout out to all of you who deal with snow in your life. I don't like it. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to be around it. I like the cold. I don't know what it is about snow. Probably a past life. I remember it. And not a great time for me. So same thing with corsets. I love the way that they look. Never want to wear one.
So what do you, to make the energy to go up through the ceiling, what do you just tell them to go up through the attic?
Imagine with your mind, imagine that you are opening a door or a window on the ceiling and just open it for them to leave through. It's much more energetically draining to do it that way. So if you can open a physical window or door, it's easier. The other thing is, worst case worst, you can use the HVAC system or the plumbing system and ask them to leave that way.
Yeah, okay. Go out through, let's say, like go through the drain in the tub.
Yeah,
go out of the house that way. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so it's the same concept. You're just, putting it within contractor terms for them. And whatever works. If you want a haunted sewer, go ahead, put them down the drain. Why not at this point? We've all seen Ghostbusters. We all know about toilet bowl demons. So
what?
Okay.
I had to put that there.
Rolls my third eye. It's my favorite response meme, by the way.
So you said all this started when you were a lot younger, right? Like you started learning about, and I guess you could say enhancing your skills, right?
Yep.
You know what? Who I didn't give a shout out to? I completely forgot. You're still doing this?
Yeah.
Woohoo! Shout out to Kim Bishop.
Yes.
And also Jayce from Wabi Sabi.
Yes. Jayce and Kim, love them both. I love the community of people that I've gotten to chat with. And the other part of it is realizing how many people out there are like myself that never got a community of people like them that they could be really, really close with.
And that's why I started this podcast, JJ, because here in Newfoundland, nobody wants to talk about the paranormal. If you had something happen and you try to tell somebody, they think you're friggin' nuts. So I said, okay, let's talk to people globally. Let's talk about it. Let's get people on air. Let's talk about it. And through doing that, you meet a lot of people. And, people talk about parafamily. Oh, it's a lot of hogwash. It's not. You meet a lot of people who are like-minded and you can talk to about all these weird things that's going on, right?
Well, to be honest with you, everything's about to ramp up and get way weirder. I mean, in 1 week, I think I'm up to 28 people now who have, and a lot of them were atheists, never had any spiritual thing happen to them ever in their life. Once in a while, they listen, to a paranormal show or maybe a movie or something just because they were like, oh, that's kind of cool. And it's entertaining, but not for them, like in their life. And they're all reaching out with experiences. And those are kind of my tester group, because when they start having experiences, I'm like, okay, we're in full mode. And the shift is coming. And when the shift comes, it's going to be a whole new world. And that's what we're all getting ready and prepared for. And there's going to be some uncomfortableness right now because we're all of a sudden having to learn that we coexist with a whole bunch of stuff that we didn't know we lived with. But the reason I keep on bombarding you with that point is, if you learn it and understand, it's just like your neighbors. Surprise, you have other people, other humans who live in your neighborhood near you. And if you didn't know that, first of all, well, I hope you have actual neighbors. They're not a surprise, but, like for the average person living in a neighborhood, yes, you're not the only human that exists. Like, you have actual neighbors. They have homes, they have families, they have lives. And then you have all these other things too. You have animals, all of that. So if we're comfortable with that, why would we think that all these different beings don't exist?
Right. And, everybody thinks, oh, a ghost is scary. No, they can be benevolent. They can be in your home. They could be your family. They could be your pets.
And the amount of actual
all of it.
There's not that many ghosts. There are spirits. And spirits are people who have passed on and they come back for a valid reason, whether they need to impart knowledge, wisdom, give you a heads up, let you have that experience, etc. A true ghost, meaning someone who died, crossed over and decided, I don't want to go. I want to be landlocked and I just want to stay here. They're very unpleasant, to be honest with you. I don't think you want to run into them.
And they usually stay because something bad happened to them, or they just...
No, sometimes they're just really obstinate people, or they're afraid of what would happen when they cross over. They're afraid of they're afraid of going to hell, or they're afraid of whatever on the other side, or they think they're waiting for someone. There's one I know who he still thinks he's waiting for his, fiance to come home. And I'm like, she died 300 years ago. She went straight to the light. You could pass go and collect $200, but no, you want to stay here and haunt this store. So, okay.
You had several classes that you're doing about a lot of these things.
Yeah. So I do on occasion do Zoom classes. And when I do those, I will try and blitz my socials with them. So that I can get all of you from different time zones and stuff. I try to make them really, really affordable so that you can get the energetic experience, get the knowledge, and not have to pay out through the nose. I'm not Tony Robbins. I'm not trying to gatekeep. I just, it is a lot of time and energy for me to work, because energetically I have to astral jump to however many people are in the class. One of my classes, I think I had like 26 people in it. And so I was divvied up in 27 different places at once. It was very fun. What I'm doing in October and November, I'm actually teaming up and collaborating with a sea salt therapy place near me in the Bay Area, California. Shout out to Avery, the owner. It's this wonderful treatment. It's very popular over in Europe. They seem to always know the health stuff before we do. But it is a place where you go in and you have this wonderful sea salt that is not only pumped through the air and find particulates, but the wall and the floor is all made of salt. And
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
very healing for the respiratory system as well as the skin conditions. But the amazing part of it all is I talk about salt helping to transmute negative energy. So I'm going to be doing a class where I'm teaching not only how to cleanse and clear yourself, but also bubble and do your protections. And we're going to be doing it in a wonderful, safe place to do that with the salt. And then I'm also collaborating with an amazing sound healer named Livy Love. And her and I are going to be doing some collabs in person as well as probably on Zoom in the future. So I will be doing kind of the front part of the energy work with cleansing and clearing and bubbling. And then her sound healing helps it really solidify in and helps the energetic and physical body move everything out. And the really cool part is I've had her do it to me. She actually did a sound bowl on my body.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That was intense.
No,
but
for the people listening, they don't understand why sound. Well, a certain gigahertz and things like that do and heal different parts of your body, right?
Yes. And if you are someone who has studied the Bible, the walls of Jericho,
Yes.
that's all sound.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Now, with the salt, there's so many different kinds of salt. There's pink Himalayan salt, there's black salt, there's sea salt. What is the best salt, or is it all just salt to salt?
So energetically, if you're just doing this for a spiritual cleanse, any salt, it doesn't matter. Go get McDonald's salt, the little packets. It doesn't matter, because salt at a molecular level, now you're going to bring out the nerd in me, salt at a molecular level, it's open. So basically it's sitting there molecularly and it's waiting to absorb something else and to take it away. So any kind of salt doesn't matter. Now, nutrition wise, that's a whole different question, because if you're looking to heal yourself with electrolytes, or if you're on a specific diet, I know a lot of people are doing carnivore diet, or if you're vegan, for instance, you need more iron in your diet. Or if you're no carbs at all versus all the carbs in the world, there's different types of salts that you want to inculcate. And obviously, if you're doing spell work or magic work, if you are a witch or you're doing energy work and you call yourself something else, that's fine. Witch is just the easiest word I use to define someone who takes on their own power and creates with it.
Now, a lot of times when we're doing spirit box, there's this place downtown in St. John's. It's at the harbor front, and it's getting close to winter, so they're shipping in tons and thousands of tons of salt, which is going to be put on the roads to help melt the snow and everything. And every time we go to that area, it says, "You're safe now."
That's awesome.
Isn't that weird? I mean, it's not weird, but isn't that cool that it says
I love that. Because even if they don't realize what that means, it means it.
Yeah. And,
really
I found a difference when you use the salt scrub in the shower. Like if you're feeling totally horrible, you don't know why, and you're like, okay, I'm using the salt scrub today. Then you miraculously feel better. Well, it's probably the salt.
And the quickest tip I can give is if you're looking to do something really quickly, let's say you're sleeping and you don't feel rested and you're doing all the things, but everything feels like you're not regenerating as much as you would like. And, barring all the physical stuff, right? Like always see a doctor, rule out all the physical things. But if you're having that kind of situation, first and foremost, you're probably an empath, okay? And you're picking up the world and the collective, and you're just hunkered down energetically with everyone else's stuff. So if you don't want to do all the things that I have for free on my YouTube, that's fine. I have a whole playlist of instructionals. The simplest thing you can do is take a salt shower. So you do a salt scrub or take a bath with some salts. It could even be Epsom salts. Don't care. Any salt. Or take a plate of salt and put it under your bed where your head lays. Everyone I have given this assignment to, and it's a lot of you, everyone that has done this has told me the next day, oh my God, I feel rested. Because
I'm going to try that because I have my insomnia is like off the charts, right? So yeah, I'm going to try it.
If it's just I'm sleeping and I don't feel rested, put the salt on a plate, about a half cup, any kind of salt, doesn't matter, on a plate under where your head lies. If you are noticing bouts of anger or frustration.
Now, under the bed or under your pillow?
Under the bed.
Okay.
Under the bed. And if you're noticing bouts of anger or frustration, put another plate, so 2 plates, one under where your head would lie and one under where your hips or your bum would be. And allow that. So what happens is energetically while you sleep, your body wants to recover and rejuvenate. So energetically, you're trying to release all this energy that you've built up throughout the day. And most of it isn't even yours because you're a little empath and you're a sponge out there and you're sponging up everyone else's energy and they feel great, but you just got dumped on. So when you do this, the salt will actually energetically help you by taking out all of that energy that isn't yours or that you don't need, and it will remove it. I have a real fun video. I'm sure it's on all my socials, but I actually show when I change out my plate of salt. And my whole joke is when it gets clumpy, that's when it goes dumpy. And I can show you a plate of salt that I can flip over like that. And literally the salt is all clumped up.
Wow.
So, obviously I'm doing this a lot more than the average person. So for me, I can probably go longer periods. But when you just start this, rejuvenate your salt after 2 or 3 weeks, and you will see that salt all of a sudden is sticking together when maybe there's no humidity in your house, or for absolutely no reason. If you have animals and you're not able to keep an open plate of salt under your bed, go ahead, put it in a paper bag. Please make it paper, not plastic. Plastic, it has to work harder. So in paper, fold it up in the bag and put it in between the mattress and either the, what do you call that? The base.
Yep. Okay. Yep.
Yeah. And worst case, if you sleep on a couch, put it under the couch.
Yeah, that's some really good ideas. Now, for people who don't wonder why people come to them, and you mentioned earlier, unload all their problems on them, and they don't realize they're an empath. Like, do you have, top 10 signs you're an empath kind of thing?
I have an entire video about what an empath is and what a sensitive is. They're very close, but they're different. Empaths, basically, if you're going through something or if you have something going on with you, empaths literally feel it. So let's say you're sick. All of a sudden, I'm feeling sick. Why am I feeling sick? I was just fine 10 minutes ago. Oh, you're sick, aren't you? Okay, empath. Sensitive, on the other hand, is someone who they can intuit, oh, I bet they're sick, but they don't feel it themselves. And there's many, many, many more, to that. I have a whole video on it. Again, it's listen only. It's free. Just give it a listen and find out which one you are. And there are some people, it's very rare that someone has neither of those. And if someone has neither of those, I would say they probably are diagnosed with a condition that I wouldn't want to involve them in my life, but that's just me.
I got to give a shout out to David. Now, you could have both though, right? Or no?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And most sensitives either end up being empaths or were such extreme empaths that they have trained themselves to become sensitives because it's too overwhelming. And it is very overwhelming. David from Down the Rabbit Hole.
JJRose, I had him season 2, episode 60. And I'm so happy that he finally got his own podcast. David Don't Know.
Thank God. I've been telling him for years.
I know.
He
I was
is
like, when I first met him, I was like, how come you don't have your own podcast?
Yeah, his podcast is called David Don't Know. He's an incredible human being. He makes you smile. He has really great guests on, and he just goes. He's one of my dearest friends. Every time I talk to him, I don't care if he just sends me a thumbs up and makes me smile. Someone else I want to shout out is Chucky Danger.
Chucky,
yes. He has his own podcast now. It's called The Danger Zone.
Yes, I wanted to get Chucky on with his new podcast.
Yes, hopefully he will come soon. He's taken off. I couldn't be more excited and proud of him. He, also another Canadian on the other side from you. He's on the western side of Canada, but I love it when people find their dreams and they go after it. That makes my heart soar.
Yeah. There's when you start doing it, you talked about passion. It's all about passion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you meet so many people along the way. I was going to pull up your link tree here and give a few shout outs to that. I'll let you talk about something else there. But yeah, Chucky, he's got his Linktree, International Paranormal Alliance, the mastermind behind that.
Yeah.
So I was going to stop screen and pull up your Linktree.
I got a lot.
Good old streams. You can only share one screen at a time. Yeah. Here we go.
I love that.
There, did it go? Yep, there it is.
On there.
So we've got you on there, and that's your YouTube, right? The first one, if you click on that.
That's my YouTube, and then those are all my socials. It's JJRose777 across the board. You can see I've been on a ton of shows. Kevin from Where the Weird Ones Are.
Yes, shout out to Kevin. Him. He's awesome.
That was a really interesting show. He had me talk about the history of Halloween and let me just go.
And of course, you did a lot of episodes on the Salem witch trials too.
A ton, yes. Yes, I am a direct descendant of one of the people who was hung. And that has been something that it's always upset me, and to go and do a deep dive on it and talk about why it's so important that we know about that, let alone why we understand and know about it today and why it's still relevant, because unfortunately it's still happening.
Well, when you say it's still happening, do you mean like in modern culture?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. When you use the word W, right? The witch, a lot of people get scared. They don't understand it because there's white, there's black, right? And there's several different kinds, right? Yeah. And a lot of people don't understand that. When they think of Halloween, they think of, the typical person with the green skin, a broom and all that kind of stuff. No, there's more to it than that, right?
Right. And I think the most important thing to understand about the word witch is basically it just means someone. It's non-gender, so there could be male, female, non-binary witches. It doesn't matter. It is someone who takes ownership and control of their own energy and works whether with one specific element or someone like me who works with all of them in order to bring about energetically something they're manifesting. And to be honest with you, almost everyone is a witch. No one likes to hear that, because if you're religious, you've been taught that's bad. But then you might need to rethink a little bit. Why would someone who's saying they're from the divine want to take away my own divinity and my own connection with source?
Right.
And I'm not saying you need to go, buy yourself a broom and jump on and see if you could fly. Let me know how it works. I'm still trying. Astral travel is way cheaper for me, But there's there's so much more to it, and it really is. A lot of it can be the beginning of someone's spiritual adventure, looking into that, but it's not something to fear. I can tell you, I know a lot of witches, and I know ones that are like me, that are light workers on the light path, what we call white witches, because we work with the white light. I know dark witches, gray, everything in between. All of them are usually most of the most peaceful and kind people you've ever met.
Yes.
And they're
100%.
just people, right? They're just people. Your neighbor who's super religious, who hates everyone who isn't a part of their own religion, is someone I would fear more than a dark magic practitioner, to be honest.
And, it's all about fear. It holds you back, right?
Yes, it does. I have a video on that too. Thank you, Jen, for reminding me of what's on my YouTube. I'm like, oh yeah, that
one. Well, you want to give a few shout outs again to where people can find you and all that good stuff?
So it's JJRose777 across the board. All my socials. Linktree really is the easiest way to find me. If you want to contact me, if it's just a small little question, feel free to do it through the socials, through the message. If it's something more involved, whether you want a referral or whether you're looking for information, you feel free to email me. Email is much easier for me. It's almost like the conversations on social media. It's a very loud place for me. That's why I try not to be on it all the time. But when you email me, I can focus a little bit more. And especially if you're asking me a direct question about something that you need, whether it's advice or resource for, or where do I start type of a thing, email's wonderful. I don't need your name. I don't need your location. None of that. Look at Jen and I. I've known her for years. I don't need to know where she lives in order to be able to pop over if she gives me consent. And everything I do is with consent. So don't think, oh, I'm going to email her and she's going to look at my whole life. I'm not like that. I try not to be nosy.
Yeah, JJ is very powerful and very helpful. And, I was going through some things, and we talked about it off air, but it definitely feels better. So everybody, look up JJRose777. You've listened to a little bit about what she's about. Go to her YouTube channel, look at her content. It's really worth it. And when you think about thinning of the veil, go look at JJRose777, and she can help you figure it all out. So thank you again, JJ, for being on the show. And I know Christmas is coming up, and I want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And thank you for being on the show again.
Thank you. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year to everyone. May 2026 be all and more of what we hoped for.
Yes. And I want to give a shout out again to your listening in on UPRN, United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans and 105.3 FM on that Gulf Coast. Now we're going to leave you, I guess I'll put on some 80s bog team music because we all love the 80s. Waiting for Christmas.
I'm not there yet.
I know we're pre-recorded.
So
I hope we don't get too much snow this year for Christmas.
Oh, I just recently saw this new thing that when you look at the full moon, if it has a ring around it or like a rainbow, it means there's going to be heavy snow.
Yes, sundog, isn't it? Or a moondog, moonbow.
Moondog, yeah. I just learned this whole thing, but it does apparently look like it's going to be a heavy snow year. So
interesting. Well, everybody, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Thanks again, JJ, for coming on.
Thank you, Jen.
Bye, everybody.